Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Live Beyond Average podcast. I'm here again with my good friend, Dustin Luebke. Dude, rainy day today. You have the day off. Again. Yes. Snow out west.
Yeah, 6 to 12 out in the hills now.
Yeah, May, 21st today?
Yes.
Yeah, so a little wintry in late May, but that's okay. We'll look at it as in, let's hope one of us draws an elk tag out there. And we have some good horn growth.
Yeah, that's only a week and a half away from getting results.
Dude, I'm stoked. That's really close. I am crossing my fingers that my dad draws one of the elk tags because he has got like 33 or 34 years in the park points, and he's got 16 or 17 out of the park. So he's due, man. Like something could happen. Something could happen there. So I'm just crossing my fingers. He gets it this year. I want to be out there.
Yep.
So,
especially that time of year.
Oh,
it's
dude,
fun. It's beautiful out there that time of year.
Yeah, me and him are going down into Mexico in September to elk hunt. So I just think it would be a really cool story if we could go down there, smoke a couple with our bows, come back up to South Dakota. He could hammer one with the rifle. I just think it'd make for an awesome season to be able to do something like that. So
elk frenzy.
Yeah, I have to buy some more freezers if that happens.
Yes.
So Dustin and I were just sitting upstairs, and we were sampling a few things, getting ready for a podcast. Dustin was going over a list of ideas. He's my man now. He comes up with all my ideas for our like subject podcasts like this. It's awesome. The help has been tremendous. So we were going over a whole list, and I think one of the things that we wanted to cover today and just casually speak about what we use, what we've heard. And we're really looking for comments from you guys on this too. So if you're listening on the Anchor app right now, you can actually go click on the notes from this podcast and shoot over a voice message and give us your opinion on this podcast. You can actually send us over what you're using and what your thoughts are on the podcast, and we can answer back and give feedback on a future podcast. Would be phenomenal to do that. So we'd love if you want to join in on that. If you don't have the Anchor app, just go download Anchor. And you can do that and interact and send those voice messages over. So that subject we want to cover today is like optics, all optics in the field use.
Yeah. Just mainly, let's start out with binos.
Okay.
Binoculars.
Yeah.
You know, you and I are both Vortex guys.
Yep.
Just for off the top, their warranty is top notch. I've had 2 times where I've had to send them in.
Sure.
And I got the one time they sent me the part, the one time I had to send the actual binoculars in, and they were great. They emailed them what was wrong. Hey, do I need to send this in?
Yep.
My spotter tipped over in the wonderful South Dakota wind, and that was my first day out last year. It tips over and just breaks off a little bushing in there. And
I had that happen too.
Yeah, they were great. I said, hey, is this something I can fix, or do I have to send the whole spotter in? He's like, nope, we'll send you that bushing.
Perfect.
Make sure this is what it is. Send me a picture. Yep.
Yeah. Dude, a lot of guys are Vortex guys now too, just because of that reason. Like, I actually grew up using like pretty cheap optics, or my dad had one pair of 10x42 Burris back in the day when they actually made really good binoculars back in the day. And they actually stepped away from making binos for a lot of years. And now they actually have binos again. They're producing binos again. But I remember he had this pair of 10x42 Burris optics, and like when he let me use those, it was like I could see everything. But other than that, it was like, other than that, we just used cheap optics.
Right.
So I grew up using anything that was like, if I found something on sale that I thought was good, but it was still quality-wise nothing compared to what I use now.
The Bushnell.
Yeah.
You know,
I think about Walmart most of the time, or Dakota Mart in Pierce, South Dakota, man. I'd always get a sale at Dakota Mart.
Yeah. I graduated to Nikons, and it's good glass.
Oh, very good.
And then once I got the Vortex, I was like, holy cow, why did I wait this long? And, you know, the thing that I like about them, too, is they're a mid-range as far as pricing.
Yeah.
They're not on your lower end, and they're definitely not like the Swarovski, like a Zeiss into those. For me, with kids, it's not feasible to spend $2,500 on a pair of binoculars.
Well, and what's perfect, like what you mentioned with that, is there's actually, and we kind of sound like we're like sitting here promoting them, but it's just because what we use.
Right.
But they actually have their own low, mid, high price range models as well, which is nice. So you can still kind of pick and choose where your own price range wants to land at, which is really cool. And you get the same warranty throughout that entire price range, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, dude, I remember using I used that my dad's 10x42 Burris. It's like all I had. Even like in season 1 of Running on TV, I still use that, and I'm not even so sure I didn't just use those even in season 2. And I actually had Burris was kind enough and hooked me up with like one of the rifle scopes in season 1. I used that. But like I think it was season 3, we switched all over to Vortex, man, and rocking their. I rock their 10x42s. I still have like one of their just base pairs of 10x42s. I'd have as my like truck binos that I take everywhere, and always are in my little bivvy. I just recently switched out those 10x42s to the Fury 10x42s that have the built-in rangefinder, and the glass. Like I thought the glass in the other ones were awesome. The glass in those Furies is crystal, dude. And I'm really impressed with the rangefinder. Like, I had way better success this year out in the field with, like, just be able to get set up and get one quick range. Like, especially antelope hunting. A lot of times even, like, the rangefinders are good.
All right, let's sidetrack a little bit. Yeah, let's go to rangefinders right now since we're on it. Yeah, we can hold up on the binos. Rangefinders. So you've got the binos with the rangefinder in it.
The Fury model, which is a 10x42 model, and I think that a new upgrade they have. I think they might even came out with a next model up, like a 12x50s or something. I'm not sure on that. Just I can't remember.
Longer range.
Yeah, but dude, I wasn't taking 10 minutes to try to pick up a antelope at 650. Like it's just tough out on the prairie to pick up sometimes, and so like those Furies, we'll pick them up walking at 700. Like they'll walk and I'll just hold down and it'll be like 652. It'll give me the next ring, 658. It'll give me the next ring. Like I was thoroughly impressed. Like the first day I broke them out, I was back in Murdo, and I broke them out on a whitetail that was like 800 some yards away, and it was walking and it was doing that. And I was like, what? There's no way. Like I was just so pleased.
Usually you got to have a reflective target out there.
Right. I was so impressed with them, and then I actually ranged like a set of trees that were like. I think it was like 1,800 and some yards. Like I was super impressed. So like it was a game changer for me just because we shoot the TS Custom rifles where we can shoot a little bit longer range, our capabilities, and so having that better rangefinder that's going to pick something up quick is nice. So other than that, like I was just using the normal handheld.
Yep, that's what
I have. Great.
I have the Ranger, the 1500.
Yep.
Which I really like that one, and that's got the angle compensation.
Yep.
So I can use that one in a tree stand as well as out on the prairie, and I don't have to worry about, okay, so I'm shooting at, it says it's 28 yards, but I'm 20 feet up, and then, So,
it may be messing up. It's just that piece of mind.
Oh, no, it's actually 17 yards. So I had that actually happen to me where the big 3x3 2 years ago,
muley,
and I was up in the wind blowing, and I'm shooting almost straight down on him, and it said 40, and I'm like, yeah, but he's only, he's 20 yards away from me.
Right.
So I aimed for 40, and of course I thought, oh, it's going to blow my arrow a little bit, and it didn't. It hit right where it was, and he ran away, and lesson learned, right below the cliff that I was on was zero wind. Obviously, that's why they were laying down there.
So don't need to allow for the wind.
Right, but it was right where I had aimed.
The up and down was right.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
So, and that was really, I'm like, okay, yep, that thing's worth it. And I started out, I just had I think it was like a Nikon 440, and that worked well. It was nice. It worked for in the tree stand, but like you said, when you get out and you get a little bit more open where you can get those farther ranges, you kind of want them to. And another thing is I ranged a hill behind the buck that I was going to go at, and then I ranged the cut where I saw him go in.
Sure.
And it had about a 50-yard difference, and when I stocked up and I got to that hill where I needed to be at, he was at 62. So I knew it was...
You could already play that.
He was fairly
game.
Close.
Yeah.
And without stomping up there and blowing them out.
But. Yeah. Well, I actually had great luck with I have that same rangefinder, and 2 years ago I was hunting muleys, where we hunt, and after a big buck that I'd actually missed with my bow for 2 years prior. I missed him the 2 years before. I missed him again the year after. And so the fact that I didn't think I'd ever see him again, and we saw him that third year, and snuck up on him, and got him in his bed, and got right over top him 48 yards. And like when I crept up, and he was at a very steep angle down on this badland, I snuck up. I got a 48 yard range on the tip of his horns, and I got back down, and I'm like, dude, he's way farther than that.
Right.
And like came up again, ranged one more time, got same 48, again 48. I'm like, he's got to be farther than that. And I'm like, dialed the 48, sat there and waited an hour. He stood up, 50-yard pin on him, freaking drilled him. He took a couple steps, and he tipped. Like, the footage is awesome. It's our season 5 mule deer hunt.
Yep.
And I'm like, literally, like, I'm so excited in that video. And I hold up my rangefinder, and I'm like, dude, like, I am so glad I trusted this thing. And like, I'm talking to Matthew, who's filming, and I'm like, I would have shot for 60.
Right.
Like, if I didn't have that, I would have shot for 60 yards, because it, like, the way it looked in that steep angle, I'm like, oh, dude, like, he is 60 across this little Badland Canyon. Nope, he was close. Like, and it saved me, dude. It got me my best archery buck I've ever shot because of that angle compensation built in, and I was so thankful. Like, I literally emailed Mark over at Vortex Optics and was like, dude, and I sent him over the video, and I'm like, I was just amped out of my mind. So, like, it goes to show you, having the right tools when you're in the field to go with your skills can make some good things happen.
Yeah, it's completely different. When I'm sitting in a tree stand, I'll range a few trees and pick a few points out. I'm like, this is 35, this is 40. So I don't have to do that. But when you're out in a little bit more open country or down in New Mexico on elk, like, you're looking at an elk and ranging that versus looking at a deer and an antelope, your judgment, like you said, it can be 10 yards off, and 10 yards is a miss.
And on the daily, where I hunt in New Mexico, and I'm sure it's like this in many other places, my terrain changes by the hour.
Yeah.
And so I can be in some really thick timber, and judging an elk in thick timber is different than when I'm kind of on a side hill in some juniper pines, where it's a little more open, and like, it's just judging them in different atmospheres and terrains actually makes it different as well. And so having something you can rely on is great. Yeah, it's great optics. So
that's a good transition.
Yeah,
so
let's pivot this.
Loop back to the binoculars.
Yeah.
I know I talked to a couple guys who are big elk hunters, and like you said, that thick timber, they are more of like a 10 by 32, 8 by 32 binoculars, just that low. They want to see something. They want to count points through trees.
Yep.
Versus the 10 by 42s, in my opinion, are the best all around. If you're gonna have one pair of binoculars,
not gonna argue that at all.
10 by 42.
Yep. And that's all I use elk hunting when I'm archery elk hunting. I'm 10 by, like, when in New Mexico, I don't even travel with them. Like, they stay in South Dakota. It's like the one hunt a year that I'm like, I don't pack my razor spotter, and I don't pack my 1556s. Like,
dude, shed a tear when you leave.
It feels weird. Like, I feel really weird about it, because like, I take them everywhere.
Right.
But I know I've done it now enough times where I'm like, dude, I'm not going to use them. Like, it's just, I know the area where I hunt them. I'm not going to use them.
Yeah.
And worst case is Justin has his other stuff with him if we need them. Like, once in a while we'll go to a high peak if we're struggling to find an elk and glass hard with a set of his spotters, but it's like, we've only done that once or twice out of the 3 times I've elk hunted with him down there, so it's like,
and it's just extra weight you're carrying around. If you're not going to use it, no sense in wearing yourself out with it.
Know your hunt style for what you're going to need. Save the plane weight, whether you're going on a float plane where they're charging you by the pound. And like in Alaska we did that, and it's like, you really start adding up every pound, because you're like, okay, I could spend $428 for me and Matthew put all of our gear on there, or I could spend $305.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's both ways. So it's like, you really start adding up everything. So and why take something that you're not going to use? You know what I mean? You're in thick timber stuff, just take your 10 by 42s. That's all you need. That's what I love about these Furies now, because I'm like, sweet, I have my rangefinder and my binos all built in one.
Yeah.
Saves me a few ounces. Kind of nice.
Yeah. No, what? I'm definitely looking at upgrading my binoculars within the next couple of years, and I'm actually looking at the 10 or 12 by 50s.
Yeah.
Just that little bit up, but not as far as you go where you go 15, 56.
Right.
Same kind of thing though. Just to be able to still wear them on my chest rig.
That's always been your big argument, because me and you have like gone back and forth on this. Like,
yeah.
Text string, in person. I make fun of Dustin religiously for those 12 by 50s versus just, dude, go 15 56s. Like,
yeah, I don't want 2 more pounds. I'm like, oh, but it's all about weight.
Right. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to be looking at that buck and counting his points out there while you're like, is that a doe or a buck out there? Like, but it's just like, at the end of the day, you still have to take your own personal preferences too.
Yes. When
you're trying to find the optic that's right for you. And I'm like, oh, dude, no, I'm going to wear my Furies on me anyway and pack my 1556s on my tripod.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just my style. Where your style is like, no, dude, I want to wear them. I want to have one pair.
Pack my spotter.
Yes, exactly.
So we still carry 2 things. It's just what you prefer to carry. As far as, like you said, truck binoculars, those 10 by 42s are awesome in there.
Heck yeah.
And, just being able to have something and having that wide view.
Yep.
Being able to pick them up and look and find it right away.
Exactly.
Having the bigger binoculars are great to see way out there, but are you going to be able to pick that deer up that is just ducking in or out of some cover? Yeah, I really like those. Let's hit spotters since we're on that. All right, what are we carrying with us?
Yep.
I know East River, South Dakota isn't a huge spotting scope, area. It's a lot more cover. However, late summer, I'd really like to just chill way back.
Sure.
Set the spotter up, cover myself in bug spray so I don't get eaten alive.
Yeah.
But, so then you're not pushing in where those deer are at and where they're feeding or where they're bedding.
For sure.
So you can get them coming out in the bean field, seeing what you kind of got in there.
Yeah.
Staying a half mile away from them.
Right.
And still being able to watch them
without applying that pressure all the time.
Right. So there's where I use it.
Okay.
Kind of back here. And it's hit or miss. I don't pull it out a lot, per se back here. But out west, yes.
That's nonstop.
Yep. When I sit down to glass, my spotting scope comes out. I have a smaller tripod.
Okay. So you rock 2 tripods when you're going? What's your glassing style? I should ask you that.
So, I go back and forth. I don't have the binocular holder.
Okay.
For the tripod. That's one of my things on my list of things.
That's your add-on this year? Nice, dude.
Yeah. So, it's like $18. So it's not huge. But from what I've been reading and watching, that's big to get those binoculars just to slow it down so you're not shaking.
Yeah, for sure.
So that if you're not shaking in your binoculars, you can pick up movement, an ear twitch, antlers move in a brush, a tail twitch.
Yep.
But, so I only rock 1 tripod, and then I have the small video camera with me, so I have another tripod in there if I wanted to pull that off.
Sure.
But yeah, I've got the 24 to 48 by 65 millimeter objective, and that one's not quite the big one is the
it's that nice mid-range one,
20 to 60 by 80, but you get a little bit longer spotter, and it didn't fit in my pack right.
Sure. Now you rocking angled or straight then?
So I went back and forth on this.
Okay, nice. I want to hear what you're doing.
So I didn't have a phone scope when I bought my spotter. So I thought, I'm looking down all the time. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. I want to be able to pick something up straight.
Yep.
If I see it, I want to be able to duck down and get in. So I went with the straight, and I actually like that because I'm able to pick the animal up quicker.
Okay.
Get it in the spotting scope.
Yep.
Now having the phone scope, I could see where an angle would be good.
Sure.
But also, we're hunting a lot of flat area when I'm using that. Okay. So being able to just sit back and go straight, I think it's easier for me. Just personal preference.
Your personal preference, yep.
Yourself?
So, I rock a single tripod as well.
Mm-hmm.
and I just rock 2 heads for the tripod. So I have like one on my 1556s, one on my spotter. Just keep them on there all the time so I can just quick detach and just keep my tripod set up right where it's at. I use the angled 20 to 60 to 80 Razor HD.
Yep.
And so this was my first angled. I grew up using straight, the cheap just Cabela's on sale or Walmart on sale straight. And so I was kind of scared to go to the angled, but I had been on a hunt. I was with my cousin. No, I was actually with my cousin just doing some summer scouting, and he had an angled Zeiss.
Oh.
And so I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of weird. And we were out west, and then all of a sudden, like, I see him loosen up the piece and rotate, and he's looking over here, but he doesn't have to move his tripod, and he doesn't have to change his body angle. And then he spins it, and he rotates it, and he can look, and you're looking at, like, dang near 100, and it's not 180 degrees, but I mean, it's big, and he doesn't have to shift his body, doesn't have to move his tripod, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And so we got to talking about that. I'm like, that's a really cool feature. And then, we got talking about, what are your future hunts, things like that. Like, okay, if you ever take it on a mountain hunt, like, it is nice to not be laying on your stomach looking up.
Right.
And so for me, I was like, okay, if I'm going to buy one that's going to have an application for a lot of things for what I think I'm going to like, I'm going to risk it. The only thing that's not ideal for is if, like, I'm going to go scout antelope out west and drive backwards in my truck and put it on my window.
Yes.
It's not great for that because your window doesn't quite get low enough with the window attachment, and then you're kind of like over the top. So it's not great for that, but I have found that I really love it out when I'm just mule deer hunting, antelope hunting, especially mule deer hunting where I'm just up on my little high spots, and I can just set up right here, and the way that binding works and it rotates, I can look over here and look over here and never, I mean, it's kind of lazy, but like, I don't have to ever move my body position. I don't have to ever move the tripod around, and I'm looking at a huge field of view and just picking apart, and I don't have to just adjust things all the time. So, like, I really like that feature, and I'm not sure if I don't hear a lot of guys talk about that, so I don't know if a lot of guys know that housing rotates and kind of turns where you can, when you turn that housing, you can still be here and just rotate that housing, and it spins on its axis, and you can get this huge field of view without ever moving. It's pretty cool. So
that is one neat thing. I'm not huge on covering a whole lot of area with my spotter.
Sure.
I prefer binoculars. I prefer looking in the binoculars, and then once I find an animal, then I pull the spotter up and
get a better look.
Yeah, get a better look. That's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Like when we're on our high points, like first thing that comes out, 1556s. I cover my ground. I do my grid my little style that I like to do. So usually, like, I go to my high point. I go all the way across my little high point, and then I go down this little valley. I work down this valley that I sit on, and then I'll grid from where I started up and where I went down, and I just like grid the whole thing. It's kind of like my little style. And then after I've done that multiple times, and I'm like sitting and waiting, there's a couple if I'm bored or I've already kind of looked at a few things, then I'll pull out my spotter and I'll okay, there's a deep ridge over here, and I'll actually that's when I'm sitting in one spot and I'm really looking into the cuts, just looking for an ear or an antler that's in the thick stuff that if I didn't happen to see him go in there with the 1556s, where I'm like, okay, that's when I'm going to spend a little more time gridding behind it. But I'm just like you in the sense of I'd much rather spend more time behind the 1556s or thereof equivalent, just because it's easier on the eyes too.
Oh yeah, the single eye spotter, it gets straining on your eyes, and that's the last thing you want to do when you're away from your Advil in your truck is get a headache.
I spent more time behind my single eye spotter this year mule deer hunting during the rifle season than I ever have. Me and Matt were glassing that big buck,
right?
And we joked around. We're like, "Oh, I'm actually going to go buy an eye patch and throw it in my pack for next year." I never, you know what I mean? But we spent so much time with our hoods up and doing this with the hood, looking through it, just trying to cover up the eye to give some relief, because it just got to be where this deer was just a good deer, and we were trying to keep tabs on him. And so we just had the spotter on him all day, and you're constantly because if he goes over and dips on the next and you lose him, I mean, those little cuts run forever, and you might not find him again. So we were just spending ample amounts of time behind it, and I definitely had some mega eye fatigue. Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily just from the eye looking through; it was from just pulling my other eye shut.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's unnatural.
Definitely buying a patch.
Yeah.
Freaking $3 patch. Just keep my pack for that.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Along with the spotter, you and I both are big fans of phone scope.
Dude,
that's a game changer.
Huge fan. And it's funny because I actually got to meet the inventors and the owners of the company this year down in Salt Lake City at the Western Hunting Expo. Randomly sat down to eat lunch and just BSing with the husband and wife that were sitting there, and they were super kind people. And then we got to storytelling, and he told me the story of how him and his son invented phone scope, and I was like, oh, I had no idea who I was sitting with. You know what I mean? It was just, and we hit it off really well. And they invited me over to the booth, and they showed me a bunch of cool stuff. Like hung out with them for an hour. And it just made me. I already loved the product.
Yeah.
Super useful, super applicable, and it just made me like it that much more. Mm-hmm. But phenomenal product.
Yeah, yeah. And I learned something just this last week on how to focus.
Yeah, and I didn't know this. This is awesome.
So I'm obviously just like everybody else. I want to crank up that power on my spotter. Then I want to zoom in on my phone because I'm like, oh, look, I can see his nose or I can see his nostril, versus what you should be doing is you zoom the spotter all the way out and then zoom your phone all the way out, put the phone in there. You start there and then just zoom your phone. And
not the optic.
Yes, let your phone do the zooming because it's an auto zoom and an auto focus. Mm-hmm. Where your optic, then you don't have to focus it and zoom it. So then, and the thing that it was actually a podcast with one of the guys from Vortex.
Okay.
So, and he was explaining this.
Sure.
And he said what it'll do is it'll focus with your phone. But he said if you can't see it, you just can't see it. You'll have to get closer.
You're just too far.
Right.
Period.
Because otherwise you can zoom your spotter in, but it gets really grainy, really distorted.
Yeah, fast.
And you'll be able to see the body size of the deer and that it's got big antlers, but you're not going to pick out how many points and how many sides.
You're not getting that quality like when you see Phone Scope's Facebook page where they're posting some of the really good quality stuff. You're not going to get that type of quality. If you're wondering how they're getting that type of quality, it's because they have the optic back all the way out,
right,
and then they're using their phone to zoom in, and they're keeping that clarity. They're not double zooming, per se, and you're going to lose a lot of quality.
Yeah, not playing with it, not trying to zoom in, zoom out.
Yes,
just concentrate on following it. And if you really want to just get a couple of good still pictures, some 5-10 second videos, it's not meant for taking a whole long 20-minute video.
Yeah, because you have to move it and it's going to shake every time you even breathe on it.
Right.
That optical is going to show.
Yes.
Like you might not see it when you're recording, but when you play back, the slightest little breath is going to show.
Right.
The vibration.
It's like somebody holding their cell phone when they're taking a live feed. You're like, geez, just stand still.
Sit out. No, that's a great point, though, because I never actually I didn't know that's actually the proper way to magnify and get the most out of your video. Mm-hmm. That's actually the proper way to do it. Like I've done it that way a few times, but a lot of times I'm powered all the way in the deer because I'm 2 miles away, which... Really, you go back to that, well, you're just too far away from the animal. You want better footage of the animal, you just need to get closer.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yep. Get up and move.
Yep, exactly.
Get off your nice little high knob that's all warm.
Yeah, but I like my high knob. It's my spot.
Yeah. What about, scouting?
Okay.
How close, like I said, when I'm East River, when I scout, I'm usually half-mile line. It's kind of where... my range where I kind of want to be. Okay. I really don't want to get in real close and bug them. Mm-hmm. And I'm more of a, hey, I just want to see them. I don't need to take a ton of video. I just kind of want to see what's in the area.
You want to take your inventory and then recheck to make sure they're kind of re-showing up. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dude, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer for this just because every area is going to be different. And, just... pressure in certain areas is so much different. How do you react to seeing people? You get in certain areas, out west or anywhere probably
There's
for that
not
matter.
there's not humans around.
Yeah, but then other areas you're looking at, there is like you get deer around farmyards.
True.
Where there is like we are releasing a film here soon where my buddy Devin shoots a mule deer with his muzzleloader down in Nebraska in like our buddy's almost his backyard out in the farmyard. And it's awesome. Like we hunted all day and covered a ton of miles out in Sand Hill, Nebraska, and went back in and found this herd that was like a quarter of a mile behind their house.
Right.
And it's just because like they're so used to seeing Brock's family around there that that's what they did. The deer plumb wild.
Right.
But like so for them, like you could scout those deer and be working out in the farmyard or just driving around and it's not going to bother them.
Right.
Where you go out in some areas like just try driving through some areas of the Black Hills and the minute you drive over the hill and the whitetail see your pickup go over there,
yeah,
gone. Like right, so the scouting's got to be different. Like in that case, it's going to be all trail cameras, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I mean, dude, a lot of times when I'm scouting mule deer out west, I'm usually trying to find nice spots from the road that I can glass from. So I'm using my spotter a ton, mm-hmm. or I'm partially hiking in to a nice little spot, but I am keeping ample distance.
Yeah,
like
definitely
ample distance.
Definitely don't want to get into where you've hunted them before.
Yeah,
because that's where you want them to be because you know you can hunt them in that area.
And I want them to be super comfortable and not pressured in the summer. Like mm-hmm. I want them when September 1st rolls around, dude. I don't want them thinking about me, dude.
Right.
Like I just want them going about their merry business, and that it gives me an advantage on the first 2 days when I go in there and I mess up a stock, and now they know I'm around again.
Right. Or just like just going into one of your tree stands and sitting up in your tree stand. You really don't want to do that before you go in there that first time.
Well, you're just increasing the scent. Yeah, dude. And the thing is like. And I don't know if this is true or not, but it's like, I always remember my dad just joking around and being like, oh, you're always just, you're, whether they remember or not, we always joke around about old bucks, like, remembering everything or like gathering intel. Like, my dad's always like, oh, we educated him or educated that one. So it does make you wonder, like, every time you're in there, you bust one out, just walking in to hike or check a trail camera or scout, whatever it is, like, did you educate a buck that, you might be hunting someday, or the guy that you are hunting, like, is he not going to be in that area anymore, or then he sees you again, like, or somebody, not just you, but just a human.
Yep.
Like, does it make him feel a certain way where he's not going to be back for 3 weeks into his little territory? So I'm like, I always remember that growing up when Dad said that. I was like, oh, we just educated that one, or. So it's kind of it's valid enough for me to think that. I don't know why not. Some bucks are super smart. They ghost you or they scare one out. They don't show back up again on camera for a month.
Yeah.
So I think some are probably more intelligent than others. I don't know why not. Why they couldn't be.
Right. And that this whole scouting thing kind of leads into the trail camera talk.
Sure.
Now, I've kind of been researching the cellular trail cameras. When they first came out, I'm like, yeah, those are way out of my price range.
They're so expensive.
They're,
right.
$500 camera, and I'm like, all somebody has to do is see it and walk away with it, and I'm out that money.
Yeah, and, out of truck payment.
Yeah. Yes. So, and now they've come way down in price. There's actually, I was looking at Spy Points.
Okay.
So the mini's like $150.
Really?
Yeah, way cheaper.
Really?
Way cheaper. And
you can tell I haven't done any shopping of trail cameras.
That's crazy. Just as of recent.
Okay.
And then you can just do a monthly plan or do like a 3-month package.
So you could actually buy your scouting window or your hunting window.
Yes, your hunting window. You can buy your 3 month. If you want it before the first 2 months, or if you just want to do it's like $25 a month for the whole year. Which
because back in the day, didn't you have to do like a year or 2 year contract just like a cell phone?
Yeah, and then you had to go through like your cell phone company and buy extra minutes and extra data and
so that's not like that anymore.
No, it's all through an app.
Okay.
Which is cool because then you get all these pictures in this app, so it's not texting you pictures or emailing you pictures.
News to me.
So I thought that was pretty cool, but for us, we're 4 to 6 hours away from where we go chase mule deer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not feasible for us to drive out every weekend to check a camera. And mule deer are way harder to pattern
than
a whitetail is.
Right. Right.
So, back here, we can set it up in a tree line, we can set it up on a trail, a crossing, and kind of get that pattern. But then you're getting actual real time, when are these deer coming?
Right.
When are, and like I was telling you, for back here, that would be great too, for in the big woods. If there's a buck moving through the area, and he's, in my experience, where I was hunting, was more of a travel corridor.
Yeah.
And, pre-rut, those big bucks would come through and they'd spend about 2 or 3 days kind of checking does in there, and then they'd kind of move on and they'd be back in a couple of weeks. So if I knew that buck was going to be in the area or was in the area,
you can spend the next 2 days there.
Yeah, I want to be able to figure out a time versus just going out and say, oh, hey, I have Friday off. I can get off early. I can run out there and hunt.
And see 2 does.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it is nice once in a while to be like, or if you have a specific amount of days off and you want to try to really utilize your days off to try to harvest a buck, or the buck you're after, like what you said, if they're kind of around from what you've observed in your area, that once he shows up once, he's likely going to be there for at least another day.
Yeah.
At least you can utilize your days off a little more ample,
Right.
Which is key.
And
I didn't know the price came down that much on those.
Yeah.
That's wicked. What makes that so intriguing to me is it costs me, $35 to drive home. So it was $70 round trip, plus when I'm down there, I'm cruising. I'm at least going to spend $150, $200 in gas on that week.
Right.
Maybe a little more if I'm driving around scouting.
Yeah.
Well, it's if I can cut that in half even on how many times I have to go back just because I feel like I need to, I'm paying for that unit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just in gas.
And
that's crazy.
And your time hiking out there, putting your scent back in there, that goes back to all that. Even here.
Yeah, right. And I still want to go do some of that because I just like being out, but not feeling obligated to have to do it sometimes because I have gone back where I'm just I really don't feel like it, but I know I need to swap out batteries and I want to see what's out there. It's been a month.
And with this camera, they also have a little 4x4 solar panel that you can plug right into it. So you're
not worried about batteries?
Yeah, it's got battery backup, but it'll run off of that solar panel.
My wife's going to be pissed because now I'm going to go spend more money maybe.
Yeah, that's going to go right on the old want list.
Yeah, same. That's cool.
No, that's
really
pretty
cool.
neat. But yeah, this time of year, trail cameras, it's not real big right now because it's kind of spring.
Sure.
Obviously,
but we're getting close.
Bucks aren't growing antlers or anything, but it's kind of getting in that thinking about it.
Yeah, they're going to start.
Midsummer, obviously, I usually say July, mid-July.
I'm a good late mid-July guy.
Yep.
I like some velvet pictures.
Start getting antsy, start seeing the frames when they start getting some big frames, and you're like, yes, I got a decent one in there.
It's fun.
Yes.
It makes it fun.
And that, yeah. I don't know, I'm not a huge trail camera person, just because I got really mixed up in them a few years back.
I did too, dude.
I spent so much time after deer that were not even there.
Oh, dude, I spent so much money on trail cams and putting out stuff and doing all that. I probably could have bought a low end elk hunt. For how many years I was into that back in the whitetail days. But at the same time, it's it's all stuff you learn, all stuff you learn along the way. But last year was the first year since 2005 that I didn't put out a trail camera. Crazy, 10, 12 years, a little more that I haven't put out a trail cam. The first trail cam I got was at a pheasant feedback in Murdo, and it was a 2 megapixel it was actually digital. It wasn't it wasn't a film one.
8D batteries.
It was. Yep, 8D batteries, and I went and put it out down on the White River, and I went and checked it I had no idea what I was doing. Went and checked it the next week, and had a 175 whitetail, still the biggest whitetail, one of the biggest whitetails I've ever had on camera. The very first time I ever hung, this is easy.
Yep.
No idea what I was doing. It is the coolest photo. I still have it on my phone. I'll save it forever. Big old whitetail in velvet. He's a monster. Yep. And but yeah, that's just lucky. You never saw. I think I saw him once cut across the corner a year later, but never got. I hunted it for him, and I passed up some deer I should have shot with my bow.
It's usually what happens.
Wasting a lot of time going after that guy when I had no reason. I was so early in my hunting career, I had no reason to be passing up some of the deer that I was passing up. My dad just shake his head at me.
Yep.
Wanted that big one though. He was towed.
Yeah, I had 21 sits in after he had crab claws on the front, just massive deer with stickers coming everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, this is the biggest deer I've ever hunted. You know, whitetail hunted.
Yeah.
I actually had a chance at killing. And so I did like 21 sits. And then my taxidermist texted me a picture of him on his table.
This is the one you're looking for?
Yeah. Hey, is this the one you were chasing? Oh, son of a gun.
Yes. That was this year, wasn't it? This last year?
That was 17.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because this last year, all I had was pictures of people walking through my stuff. So
yeah,
that was nice to know, too, because then I was like, oh, there's just people walking through. It got sold, so there's flaggers and everything else.
Oh, sure.
Surveyors out there. But yeah, I mean, sitting there, and that deer ended up going, he was just shy of 190 with all of his stickers. So it was a dream deer. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Heartbreakers.
For sure. No, so,
Heartbreakers.
But I relied way too much on those, and I got way too into that trail camera picture. I passed up a nice 145 by 5 that any other year, and I mean, it was cool. I got to see some awesome rut action of him just nosing those around and kicking these two other little, 3x3 6-pointers around and just bullying them out to chase these does back and forth and grunt. And so that was cool, but I should have shot him.
Yeah, dude.
And then the very next day, it was kind of like, oh, this is a learning experience.
And then you went back to try to shoot that 140 and you never saw him again.
No. All I saw was this little spike bucks, and they were all excited.
Every time, dude. Every time.
Then just like scouting that way, I know you're big in shed hunting.
Dude, I love it.
I'm not.
I love-hate it. I'm in love-hate with it.
Yeah.
I don't, dude. Just one of those things. Like I get done with the hunting year, and usually it's so long with filming and everything that I'm like, the time it's done, I'm so ready to be done, and then like a week later, I'm in the house looking at my 4 walls, and I'm editing, and I'm like, I just want to be out doing something right now.
Well, and it's 20-some below.
Yeah. And so the time I can get out and look for sheds, it is just, like, I just want to be out. Mm-hmm. And I put on a lot of miles, and it's just my way of, like, I love to just put on miles and stay in that height shape, because it's just a little different, you know. And so this year I actually put on a boatload of miles. Like, me and Amy did a lot together. We put on quite a few miles, and I went out a bunch of times on my own. And I probably put on more miles this year and found way less than ever. Like, I think I found, like, 1 deadhead elk and then, like, 13 sheds or 14 sheds. Mm-hmm. Like, not that great of a year, but I put on a lot of miles. Like, stayed in shape. I got to kind of scout one of my areas that I was new to. Got to go into some different areas that I wanted to take a look at. Mm-hmm. I kind of utilized it for that, too, to go into some areas that I'm curious about. So it's like double-edged. I use it for intel as well as fitness, as well as enjoyment, as well as just hoping to pick up some sheds, man.
Yeah.
Like,
you can definitely go in and see like their winter trails.
Yeah.
And you can, without the leaves on the trees, it's a lot easier to see where they're going, their movement patterns along ridges, kind of learning that stuff too.
100%. I love that.
Yeah, I'm not a huge shed hunter. It's just not something I do. Or turkey hunting, for instance.
Sure.
I got rained on like 3 of the 4 days I went out one season. I'm like, no, I'll skip that.
Not my thing.
Not my thing. Yeah. I know Zach, that's all, like, he's all about it.
He's jacked about it, and I'm kind of the same as you. It's like, I don't get too amped up about it, but it's like, I always see them, my buddies shoot a couple, and I'm like, oh, I want to go shoot one. But then, like, I go, and I'm like, I'm so bored. But I do want to go out with somebody like Zach, who, like, he's got it together, knows.
Oh, yeah, it's a totally different experience.
And go lay down some really sweet footage of, like, up close and just... and do it. I think it'd be cool. Or actually, like, do the whole, like, get a full-size fan. I could get up behind, actually, like, getting within sneak.
Do the sneak.
Do the sneak up 5 yards. Like, I can get behind something like that just because it's, like, the challenge of having fun like that versus just sitting around. Mm-hmm. But it's just my style.
Yep.
So I'm not dogging it. I like to move. I'm a mover.
Yeah.
So, just my style.
I like to chase pheasants. That's my bird of choice to chase. I like to
hike. You're going to chase a bird, you're going to go after some pheasants.
Yeah, watch dog work. And
you're in a good state to do that.
Yeah.
Like the best one.
Call that out.
Like the best one. So,
yeah.
Is that all you got for us today, dude?
think that's it on my research.
I wish you would put a few things together for us. Didn't cover much of anything.
No, not a little bit of a realm of some binos and scouting and optics.
Yeah, and just a few of our, I don't even know if you call them opinions, just our experience,
Yeah.
Like, any of those experiences could change at any moment with a different experience with a different optic.
Oh yeah.
Which is the cool thing about this industry. It's pretty wide when it comes to optics, really.
Yeah, and we didn't even touch rifle scopes or red dot scopes or anything like that. Right. That's a whole nother podcast.
And my education on that's like minimal at best. And I know what I know of what I have, kind of thing. But I definitely could always use a little bit more education on that. Matt would be a great guy. Travis Stevens. Probably need to get that guy on the podcast.
Hands down.
He builds our rifles for us, and he knows his stuff. He actually shoots. Does he shoot PRS or does he shoot? I can't remember which league he shoots, but he's talented, man. He's obviously talented at what he does.
Definite competition, long range shooter.
We could probably sit on a podcast for like 6 hours with that guy. Literally, just like not say 3 words and just let him
just
talk.
Soak it up.
Yo, dude, we went out to New Mexico with him. We went aoudad hunting. He smoked a giant aoudad. But I was like so excited to know that I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna drive 16 and a half hours out of New Mexico with Travis in the vehicle, and like I am gonna learn a boatload, and like it was fun. It was super fun because we talked a lot of rifle and just BS'd. It was good time. So I gotta get him on the list, and he's gonna be in his busy season now. So I gotta get that scheduled. But he'd be fun for like a bunch of us to round table and just learn from that dude because he's a knowledgeable guy.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat you are. I'm kind of got the grasp, but I have it enough to
be dangerous.
Yep, but not enough to like, oh hey, I'm gonna go
to talk about it for an hour on a podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Me neither.
No. I've got, and like you said, we've got some different ideas. I've been doing a lot of driving recently, so I've just been writing down podcast ideas. Or we've got probably 4 or 5. A couple of them need to be round table, need to be
get some guys.
4 or 5 people in, get some different opinions and different stuff in there.
For sure.
And then, another thing we talked about doing is just some stories.
And I think that's going to be huge. I am stoked for that idea. And we have some more information coming on that, hopefully shortly.
Yeah.
So, and that's where we want your help too. We want your help with some of these ideas for future podcasts. We want your input on what you'd love to hear. We'd even love your feedback on what you thought about this podcast or any past podcasts. So drop us a DM, drop us a message on any of our social media outlets, or just hit up that Anchor Stories notes where you can send us a voice message. Would be super cool. We'd really appreciate it. And we really appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Live Beyond Average podcast. We're officially over a year into the podcast. We appreciate all your support. There's been a big uptick in listens here over the last couple months. And that's because of you guys sharing a podcast, leaving a review, leaving a rating. All those little things just mean so much to a small business. That goes a long way. So share it with a friend that you have. Share it on Instagram on your stories, whatever you feel inclined or impelled to do.
Yeah, let us know. Send us some feedback. Let us know something that you want us to talk about, or you want to get a topic that maybe you're not as fluent on, like the rifle scopes for us.
Yep.
Maybe that we are, or we could find somebody who is very knowledgeable in that, and we can get them talking and pick their brain.
Exactly. Thanks for tuning in today, guys, and we'll catch you next time.